This week on New This Week, Colette is new this week.
I'm new this week.
All right, so SpiderMan Noir #1. Last week we had Ben Grimm Noir, and it was not noir enough for me. This week we have SpiderMan Noir, and I almost choked to death on the crime and the grime.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a classic setup, like a dead dame and Spider-Man going around and doing his thing in a trench coat. The art is really good, and the dark, shadowy look of the whole thing super fit my favorite kind of aesthetic. Hard-boiled and just exciting.
Nice.
It's only going to be it's more than one issue. I didn't look up how many issues it's going to be, but I think I am in for the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think you'd dig it too, as a fellow crime nut.
Yeah, I love a good noir, and I've gotten very used to things with noir on the title not actually fitting that descriptor and having to be okay with that, and that's really reassuring to hear that it actually has the right amount of trench coats and dead dames.
Yeah, and it's all black and white except red and like pale green sometimes.
Nice.
This shot here where he saves a librarian,
That's awesome.
and it's all silhouetted is rad. So, I dug that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's nice. The little I've flipped through it, it's nice to be able to see it. You almost forget that it's a Spider-Man thing until you see a web somewhere in there or not. And that's a sign of a good noir.
And he's got super gritty words.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Did you read King of Nowhere #1?
So I read the first few pages of this. I did not actually get to get my comics before we came in here, so I read a little bit of this, and this I'm really excited for. So I haven't read any of Ice Cream Man, which is by the same author, because I get creeped out real easy, and something about the art in that one, those spiders, I can't get past it.
That's fair.
But this is, I've heard nothing about how good that is. And I love Tyler Jenkins' art, who's doing this. And this, what I looked at of it and the little bit that I read, it's got a lot of like that weird out there trippy stuff that he did for Nowhere Boy, which was a series that I loved.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that he did that.
Yeah,
that was
and it
really
was
good.
So out of his usual subtle small town kind of just small character driven stuff, and it was so trippy, and this is kind of like seems like it's going to be a great mashup of that trippy out there but with that subtle small town that he does so well, so I'm really excited for this.
And I don't know if Hilary Jenkins did the colors on Nowhere Man. I can't believe that she would have, because her style is so much more watercolory and pastel, but this is about a guy who thinks that he's having some sort of hallucination, and by the end, you're still not sure, but I think that if he is having a hallucination, we're going to live in it for a while. He stumbles into a town that is full of people with upside-down heads and fish people and dudes with 6 arms that are beating up the good guys, and a lot of people have like animal characteristics, like horns for heads, and they battle some iguanas that are as big as a building. Super cool. I was worried because W. Maxwell Prince and the artist on Ice Cream Man are such a perfect match in my head. And reading this, I was distracted at first by what would it be like if it was a little more exact art, because this is super loose. And I'm a big fan of Tyler Jenkins, and luckily they pair up pretty nicely.
Yeah, I'm excited to read it, and I'll tell you what I think is not someone who's attached to that writer and artist pairing from the other.
I'm curious what you think.
Yeah.
Billionaire Island by my buddy Mark Russell and Steve Pugh. They're the guys who
do everything great.
Yeah, they did Flintstones together. And Mark Russell, like I don't buy many comics, but I buy one of every one of his comics. This is basically the nearish future after billionaires have ruined everything. They've got this floating island, so it can't be flooded. And all the beachfront property is full of refugees. And it's just kind of Mark Russell doing like probably the most heavy-handed version of his political.
Yeah, that's
political
awesome.
Like
that says a lot.
Yeah, and it's great. It's hilarious. there's a scene in the end where a guy's eating a banana, and I sent him a message, and it's like, hey, what's the deal with the banana? Because I really like bananas, and it turns out that it's something he's setting up for issue 5. So,
Love that man.
yeah, if you like any Mark Russell stuff, this is a solid comic.
Awesome. Oh man.
Did you read Mr. Miracle?
It's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life was to sit down and read that book.
So are you going to read the same team doing Strange Adventures?
I have not been this excited for a new book in a very long time, especially since it's a character I know nothing about.
Right.
And I am so excited for this book. I like emotionally excited to read this book.
Yeah, so it's Adam Strange, and I think that the setup is he was at war in space, and he's back on Earth now, and he's doing book signings. So I think it's going to have a lot of like Tom King and Mitch Gerads like hanging out and doing convention stuff, like real life sort of convention things. And then when they show flashbacks to the other planets that he was at war on, you get Evan Shaner art. So it's like different artists for different settings, and I read a preview of this. They sent us a PDF before it came out, and it's got a lot of what we liked about Mr. Miracle, and it's got a whole lot of new cool stuff too. So
yeah, I'm so excited. There's been a little preview in the back of a bunch of DC stuff recently, and it's been one of those things that every time I get to it, I so want to read it, but I also close the book because I just want to be able to sit down and pore over this whole issue.
Well, we were so excited about this comic that we made our own coffee, the Zeta Beam coffee.
A new coffee!
And it is a dark roast from Tony's, and we're going to be selling it along with the Strange Adventures comic. If you like it, every time you get the Strange Adventures comic, you can get the Zeta Bean coffee for $2 off. So
what a deal!
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good coffee, and we had a local artist, Kristen Morse, did the artwork, which is a jetpack on a coffee bean.
So good.
So
good.
Well, thanks for joining us while
thanks for
Jeff was off
having me.
fighting crime.
Happy to be here.
And I guess we should probably go open this bird up.
Let's go open it up.